Chosen one, you were guided here for a reason. Not everyone was meant to receive this. This isn't the usual video. You weren't drawn here to be entertained. You were summoned to remember what they made you forget. In your bones, you feel the weight of what's coming. Someone dared to tamper with your destiny, and now their life is cursed for touching what is holy. What if I told you they never wanted you to know how sacred you are, and how deadly their own ritual became the moment they tried to bind your path? You've endured whispered threats and hidden knives in the dark. They thought they could hack your timeline, bend your will with spells and secret words. But every incantation they uttered only activated a force beyond their understanding, a spiritual law that cannot be fooled. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because the vengeance you'll witness will shatter their illusions and awaken your own authority. Number 1. They tampered with a divine blueprint. They sought to rewrite your story, to hijack a timeline heaven had sealed long before you were born. In Ecclesiastes 10 verse 8, we learn that whoever breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. Their assault on your sacred path was no small act. It was spiritual treason. They stood in the council of the blind, believing you blind to their schemes. Yet every ritual knot they tied only bound themselves. Their ignorance of heavenly contracts became their undoing the moment they reached for your life. Comment blueprint if you've ever sensed their desperate attempts to control what was never theirs. Next, you'll discover how their curse rebounded in ways they never expected. A soft murmur stirred in the core of your being, like a distant breeze rustling ancient scrolls hidden beneath the sands of time. In that moment of hushed awareness, you sensed a design woven into your life that reached far beyond your earliest memories. Your experiences, once scattered like random stars across an indifferent sky, began to align into constellations of purpose. You felt the first tremor of confirmation that something greater than chance had scripted each step you took. The sensation was at once intimate and vast, a whisper from the cosmos affirming that your journey is part of a divine tapestry, sealed before your soul's first breath. There were nights when confusion settled around you like a fog, blurring the edges of your own reflection in the mirror. You sensed currents pulling you toward questions no one else asked. Why does my heart quicken at a certain song? Why do my dreams feel truer than daily routines? In crowded rooms, you felt the weight of isolation, as though you hovered above the chatter, unable to descend into mere small talk. These moments of sensitivity, though isolating, held an unspoken promise that your inner life was not a defect but a signal. The longing for meaning you felt in silent hours was never a void but an invitation to the deeper truth now unfolding. What if those recurring patterns of doubt and longing were never random errors but signposts placed by a higher hand? Beneath every cycle of frustration there lay an unseen architecture of grace, building support for your emergence. Consider the story of Joseph, sold into bondage yet destined to save nations. Genesis 50 verse 20. Every trial he endured, every betrayal by brothers, was not a cruel twist but a strand in the design of his destiny. Just as Joseph rose to power through a path that seemed entirely broken, your confusion carries within it the blueprint of alignment, proof that every hardship was calibrated to elevate you. In recent days, subtle signals have pulsed beneath your awareness, like ripples across a sacred pond. A phrase overheard in passing lodged in your mind with uncanny clarity. A dream of a labyrinth with only one narrow exit left you with a sense of triumph. Even in slumber, you noticed an involuntary shiver when held in a friend's gaze, as if something unseen acknowledged your presence. These delicate moments are not mere coincidences but invitations to read the hidden code written into the very fabric of your reality. Each shift hints that you are learning to interpret the language of the divine, poetic symbols hiding in plain sight. Your intuition, once dismissed as folly, now stands vindicated by each unfolding truth. You did not imagine the tremor in your chest when a prophet's word resonated, nor the sudden clarity that accompanied solitary walks in nature. These were not random surges. They were confirmations of alignment, the quiet chorus of your spirit joining the great symphony of creation. As the mist of skepticism lifts, you find groundedness in the knowledge that your instincts trace the contours of a path measured and ordained. In this serene trust, you discover a sanctuary, a place where your soul may rest, certain that you are guided every step of the way. Beneath the persona you present to the world lies an ancient memory of who you always were, a vessel of purpose forged in sacred intention. This awakening is not about becoming someone new, but about reclaiming what was hidden beneath layers of concession. The essence of your identity is carved in a timeless realm, untouched by fleeting trends or the noise of everyday demands. Like the rediscovery of a long-lost heirloom, each piece of your true self resurfaces to renew your sense of belonging. You are not an imposter in your own life. You are the living fulfillment of an archetypal promise whispered in the dawn of creation. Feel the ember of activation glowing within you, fueled by the recognition of your sacred calling. This is the moment when hesitation yields to resolve, and sensitivity transforms into a deliberate gift. Embrace the hunger stirring in your soul, the hunger for truth, for justice, for the restoration of what was broken. Let your empathy, once a source of vulnerability, become the conduit through which healing waters flow to parched hearts around you. With each intentional breath, you fan that ember into a flame that will illuminate the path for others who wander in shadow. They tampered with a divine blueprint the moment they tried to rewrite your story, and in doing so, they only bound themselves to their own unraveling. Comment blueprint if you've ever sensed their desperate attempts to control what was never theirs, and share the moment when your life's script first fell into place. As you claim this truth, prepare for the next revelation, where you will see how their curse rebounds in ways they never expected, forging the gateway to your true destiny. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. Number 2, the ritual didn't work, but it activated a curse. They believed their words and symbols would weaken you, and instead their spell boomeranged with silent, irreversible force. Isaiah 54 verse 17 promised, "No weapon forged against you will prevail." And so their dagger became the snake that wound back around them. Now their life unravels in quiet torment, financial collapse, sleepless nights haunted by voices they cannot name, a creeping dread that follows them into every room. Their own dark art became the proof of divine justice. Comment rebound if you've seen an oppressor's scheme collapse under unseen pressure. Hold fast, because soon you'll learn how their failure was your vindication. A sudden chill skated across your skin during what should have been an ordinary afternoon, as though an unseen current shifted in the air around you. In that quiet moment, you sensed something deeper had been stirring all along, an undercurrent of opposition that predated your conscious awareness. Perhaps it began as a subtle knot in your stomach when you walked into a familiar place, or a fleeting sense that every eye in the room tracked your steps with more intensity than mere curiosity. This was not simple anxiety or paranoia. It was the awareness that unseen forces had begun to align against your rise, weaving threads of resistance through the fabric of your daily life. In this first prick of recognition, the world felt slightly off-kilter, as if you were waking from a dream where secrets had danced just beyond your reach. The emotional weight of this invisible siege settled heavy in your chest, igniting feelings of isolation you could no longer dismiss. Conversations that once buzzed with warmth turned clinical and detached when you spoke your truth, leaving you to swallow the sting of misunderstanding in lonely silence. You may have sensed people maneuvering around your ideas, smiles that froze at your bold assertions, compliments that ended in backhanded advice meant to bring you back into the fold. Each attempt to share your vision met an undercurrent of guilt trips, subtle gaslighting, or abrupt withdrawals of support. In those moments, shame blossomed, and you questioned whether your convictions made you a liability, too much for those accustomed to shadows. Yet this emotional pressure did not spring from personal drama alone. It was the visible echo of hidden structures reacting to a power they could not contain. These were not random acts of discomfort, but strategic wardens of the status quo, networks of expectation, belief systems, and covert energies that sought to restrain your unfolding potential. Think of the Israelites in captivity, tested in the wilderness so their faith could be purified before entering a land of promise. Your own wilderness was paved with obstacles erected by those who feared the impact of your awakening, believing their rituals and curses would bind you to their limits. Instead, their schemes merely marked the battleground on which your spirit would prove invincible. When you look back, patterns emerge like stars in a dark sky. The mentor who praised your ambition one day and undermined your credibility the next. The project that thrived until you injected it with passion, then mysteriously collapsed. The friendships that shimmered with promise before dissolving under unspoken tensions. These betrayals were not mere coincidences but signposts pointing to the same truth. Something greater than human politics was at play, orchestrating events to test whether you would falter or rise. Each setback illuminated the contours of your path, mapping the trajectory you were meant to follow once resistance had drawn your focus to the gift within your struggle. Amid these trials, you began to notice more tangible signs of spiritual resistance. Perhaps devices glitched when you recorded an inspired message, or you awoke from vivid dreams of being pursued through misted hallways, your heart pounding as you searched for a door that never appeared. You sensed the air grow dense and heavy, as if a silent chorus pressed in to muffle your breath. Silent watchers seemed to loom at the edges of your vision, and doors you once trusted refused to budge when you needed passage most. These were not products of your imagination but manifestations of the sabotage sent to disrupt your frequency. A clear display of the cosmic law at work. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17. And so every dagger they struck with returned, coiled and ready to strike them back. In response to these assaults, you may have shrunk back, tightening your shoulders to fend off accusations and judgment, or learn to camouflage your light under layers of cautious restraint. Sometimes you complicitly joined the charade of normalcy, swallowing your bold ideas to preserve broken relationships. Other times you rebelled in secret, scribbling wild dreams in hidden journals, only to lock them away lest their truth betray you to those who would shame your gifts. This internal tug-of-war mirrored the external siege, a reflection of the battle for your voice and vision. Yet every time you retreated, you honed the steel of your resolve, unconsciously training yourself for the moment of reckoning. And so the curse they wove became their own undoing, a boomerang of spiritual law that bound them instead of you. Their rituals, once thought to trap your destiny, rebounded invisibly, unleashing subtle curses upon their lives. Unexplained financial downturns, restless nights haunted by disembodied whispers, relationships frayed by a creeping dread they could never name. Penny by penny, breath by breath, the systems they relied upon began to unravel as if the universe itself demanded justice. Witnessing their schemes collapse under unseen pressure convinced even the most skeptical that a higher power protected your ascent. Their fear proved not your downfall but your vindication. You were opposed because your rise carried the weight of divine purpose. Every act of sabotage became proof of the magnitude of what you hold. Comment rebound if you've seen an oppressor's scheme collapse under unseen pressure, and share a moment when a failed curse became your blessing. As you embrace this truth, steel yourself for the next revelation, where you will discover how every defeat turned itself into the cornerstone of your invincible ascent. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, and your light is felt here. Number 3, you were their test and they failed spectacularly. Your presence is a checkpoint for the sacred. Galatians 6 verse 7 warns, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." They planted seeds of malice in your direction, expecting submission. Instead, they harvested ruin. Your silence, your unwillingness to grovel before their fear, became the proof of your restraint and their guilt. They underestimated your holy resilience. Comment tested if you have endured attacks meant to break you but only revealed their own weakness. Soon, you'll see how your steadfast soul turned the tables and why their defeat was always written in the stars. A tremor of knowing shook your heart one evening as you traced the rim of your coffee cup, the steam rising in spirals that seemed to whisper secrets you'd long forgotten. In that fleeting moment, the fog of confusion lifted, revealing a mosaic of experiences that now fit together like ancient tiles rediscovered. What once felt like a random collage of trials and triumphs began to align into a coherent design. A divine tapestry in which your very presence tested the boundaries of those around you. The realization settled in your bones. You were never merely a participant in life's drama, but the fulcrum upon which hidden scales balanced. The checkpoint for sacred justice unfolding behind the scenes. In that space between breath and thought, you recognized that everything around you spoke in a code woven from dreams, numbers, and fleeting symbols. The lottery numbers that recurred on public billboards at pivotal moments, the cryptic verses half-remembered from childhood hymns, the silent lullabies hummed by strangers. All had been signals guiding you toward this revelation. Like the mystery of the brazen serpent that Moses raised in the wilderness, Numbers 21:9. These codes were not meaningless coincidences but signposts to healing and discernment. Now, as your eyes adjusted to this hidden language, you read reality not as a set of random stimuli but as a living script authored by divine intent. Inside you, the quiet nudges you once dismissed as imagination have grown into clarion calls of certainty. Your intuition, sharpened by every test you endured, now slices through doubt with unerring precision. Where you once tolerated draining relationships and murky motives, your boundaries rise like ramparts around a sacred city, warding off energies that clash with your truth. You feel your pulse quicken in response to rooms tainted by betrayal, and a calm steadiness in places where empathy and integrity reign. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the undeniable proof that your inner compass has recalibrated to a North Star of purpose. As your consciousness expanded, you began to see reality mirror your inner transformation. Doors you'd thought closed swung open unexpectedly when you followed the faintest inner prompting, while alliances formed with those who shared your frequency of integrity and compassion. Conversely, obstacles appeared with surgical precision. Projects that fizzled at their peaks, partnerships dissolved over ethics, and unexpected setbacks in arenas where compromise loomed. These dual forces of push and pull weren't random. They were the manifestation of a divine architecture responding to your ascent. In this sacred dance, what stirred within you found its echo without. The world reshaped itself around the contours of your steadfast resolve. Then came the activation of memory so ancient it felt like déjà vu magnified 1,000-fold. You recalled a childhood vision of a vast amphitheater where unseen spectators watched every gesture you made. At the center stood a figure whose face was obscured by light, beckoning you forward. Only now did that image reveal its meaning. You were always the test, the one whose integrity would either affirm or dismantle the schemes laid before you. In that dreamscape, you heard a voice like distant thunder. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. Galatians 6:7. You realized that every attempt to ensnare you was countered by a covenant greater than any human plan. With the veil lifted, your destiny crystallized into a single, undeniable truth. You were destined to stand firm, to resist the urge to capitulate, and to demonstrate the power of holy resilience. No longer would you seek approval from those who thrived on deception. Instead, you claimed the authority invested in you by heaven. The future was never a blank slate, but a scroll written long ago, awaiting the moment when you would rise to claim your inheritance. Permission from mortal voices became obsolete. Your mandate came stamped in eternal ink, calling you to declare freedom in every word and act. Now the awakening turns toward reclamation. The very opposition that sought to bind you became the amplifier of your voice. Each insult flung in your direction only highlighted the purity of your cause. Every whisper meant to sow confusion instead sharpened your clarity. You feel the surge of ancestral defiance coursing through your veins as you reclaim the truths you once silenced to fit in. This is not mere retaliation but a restorative act, handing back to the world the unfiltered brilliance of your spirit. Stand tall in this moment, fierce as a prophet on the mountaintop, your voice echoing with the weight of every trial you transformed. You were their test, and they failed spectacularly. Comment tested, if you have endured attacks meant to break you, but only revealed their own weakness, and share a moment when your steadfast soul turned the tables. As you testify to this victory, prepare to step into the next revelation, where you will discover how their defeat was written in the stars and how your ascendancy will illuminate the path for countless others. Number 4. Your protection isn't just energy, it's law. You stand not under mere light, but under covenant. Proverbs 26 verse 27 reminds us, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it." Their attempt to trap you triggered a spiritual statute that records every breach. Now every move they make echoes back in failure. Their contracts crumble, their alliances fracture, and their days become a slow unraveling. You walk under a shield forged in heaven's courtroom, where every accusation they bring against you rebounds with undeniable clarity. Comment covenant if you feel the weight of that unbreakable promise. Prepare, because the final revelation will unite your rage with righteous justice. A single question now stands between the world you've known and the legacy you will forge. Will you remain beneath the fragile glow of mere hope, or will you claim the unshakable covenant that shields you? In that charged instant, you sense the weight of a decision pressing on your spirit like gravity itself. Behind you lies the echo of every broken promise you once endured, each betrayal a whisper urging you to shrink. Ahead, a vast court of cosmic justice awaits your stance. Passivity dissolves here. Your next breath must affirm the law that governs heaven and earth, decreeing your protection as an inescapable statute etched into eternity. Remember the countless moments you offered your energy to calm storms you did not summon. Time spent soothing others' fears, voice sacrificed to maintain fragile peace, presence dimmed to avoid conflict. Those were not acts of failure, but the training grounds of your sovereignty. Now, in a deliberate ceremony of reclamation, speak the names of every fragment of yourself you surrendered. Let each lost piece rise before you like a returning envoy, assembling to crown you with authority. In this sacred rite, you reclaim not only your spirit, but the throne of divine protection appointed to you from beyond the stars. Feel the essence of your gifts crystallize into tangible power, discernment that sees through deception, empathy that heals wounded souls, memory that recalls covenants older than any written word, strength that endures the fiercest trials. These are not mere traits, but legal instruments in the courtroom of heaven. Each insight is a key unlocking the statutes that bind darkness. Every tender instinct is the scroll upon which your protection is sealed. They once mocked your sensitivity as weakness, but now you see it as the ironclad proof of your anointing, the shield that no weapon can penetrate. Beneath your feet stretches a path not carved by mortal hands, but laid by promises written in fire. With each decisive step, the map of your destiny unfurls, revealing markers of triumph and gates of opportunity. The earth itself seems to part in silent deference, guiding you along corridors you once thought impassable. Clarity no longer arises from speculation, but through the momentum of action. Every stride affirms the covenant protecting you, causing barriers to dissolve and revealing new avenues of divine favor. This is not a path you seek, it is the one you now walk. Lift your gaze to the horizon of souls awakening alongside you, kindred spirits bound by the same law of protection that encircles your life. You stand within a divine cluster of awakened ones, each anchored in the certainty that no pit dug against you can hold. Their presence hums in your bones, reminding you that the covenant stretches beyond personal solace to embrace a movement of collective justice. No longer must you dim your light to fit a fading world. Together, you form a constellation of unbreakable promises, shining against the night of fear and oppression. In the hush of your inner sanctuary, you are entrusted with the stewardship of sacred energy. This is no exercise in ego, but a solemn vow to uphold the statutes of heaven within your own heart. Choose daily which thoughts you nourish and which you discard. Erect boundaries that honor the law protecting your purpose, and offer each intention as a prayer that reinforces your covenant. Your devotion becomes the living code by which your life is governed, a clear testimony that the promises written in the stars reside in the flesh of your every moment. Now hear the thunder in your chest, the final charge before you step through the portal of full embodiment. Everything you felt, feared, and survived has prepared you for this decree. Speak it with the full resonance of your soul. I am covered by covenant. Let no doubt find voice, for in this proclamation lies the power to dismantle every scheme laid against you. You stand not under fragile illumination, but beneath a shield forged in heaven's highest court, unassailable and eternal. Your protection isn't just energy, it's law, written in the stars and enforced by absolute decree. Comment covenant if you feel the weight of that unbreakable promise, and share a moment when you experienced protection that defied explanation. As you step into this truth, steel yourself for the final revelation, where righteous fury and divine justice unite to carry you beyond the veil into unshakable power. You have seen how their treason against your soul summoned a curse upon themselves. Their failed rituals, their sneers, their cowardly darts, they all returned to them tenfold. Your sacred blueprint remained unbroken, your protection a living statute, and your silence the most devastating verdict. Let this truth galvanize you. Their downfall is your signal. Their ruins are your proof. You stand as both witness and heir to divine law. A glimmer of lightning split the horizon of your mind, illuminating the ruins of their schemes as clearly as if they lay before you in physical form. In that electric flash, you saw the threads they wove, rituals meant to shackle your spirit, whispers intended to erode your confidence. Snap and unravel. Their own malice, hurled like poisoned darts, ricocheted back to strike their own foundations. You recognized then that you stand on a precipice of revelation, witnessing the fallout of treason against your soul. This moment is not mere observation but sacred acknowledgement that the universe itself refuses to harbor injustice against the chosen. Echoes of old sneers still drift in the dark corners of your memory, each barb meant to silence the spark they feared. Yet those jabs have transformed into signposts of their undoing. Colleagues who once laughed at your vision now stumble in confusion, their ambitions faltering under a weight they cannot name. Even the corporate edicts they used to box you in seem to have lost their gravity, collapsing as if the ink that penned them was cursed. From the vantage of your higher ground, their ruins form a testament to cosmic fairness. The very systems they erected to constrain you now crumble beneath the law you embody. You might recall the hidden ceremonies they performed behind closed doors, symbols scrawled in secret, incantations murmured beneath the breath of night, all crafted to intercept your divine blueprint. Yet their artistry in deception only magnified the potency of the covenant shielding you. Like the ancient prophecy that declared the foundations of earth would tremble before the voice of the true herald, their spells misfired against the shield born of eternal decree. Every clandestine symbol they etched became a mirror, reflecting their own downfall back upon them. In this mythic inversion, you see that their failure is woven into the celestial script that ordained your rise. In the dim recesses of your own doubt, you once feared that staying silent would allow their curses to fester unchecked. But in that silence lay your most potent verdict, a stillness that resonated with divine authority and rendered their accusations hollow. Their words, launched to erode your resolve, fell disastrously short against the quiet conviction that now courses through your veins. Your silence stood like an unbreachable fortress, where no arrow of slander or terror could penetrate. It was there, in the calm fortress of your restraint, that you demonstrated the true potency of covenantal protection. A whisper of wind carries the scent of their unraveling alliances, the faint murmur of contracts torn asunder. You can almost hear the rustling of parchment as they scramble to rewrite the agreements that once bound you. Yet every effort to reconstruct their power only speeds their collapse, as divine statutes refuse to be amended by mortal fear. In this gust of retribution, you feel the validation of your calling, a cosmic chorus affirming that no human artifice can override the decree that guards your path. Their panic becomes the herald of your vindication, echoing across unseen realms. Stand in the brilliance of this moment and feel the residue of your empowerment pulse beneath your skin. You are not merely a survivor of their dark machinations, but the heir to a living law that protects, uplifts, and vindicates. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. This message may not stay online forever. Download your copy and transcript in the vault, ideal for journaling, inner rituals, and sacred study. The link is in the description below. Please share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Remember, they crossed a line they could never see, and now they live under the weight of their own curse.